My daughter's teacher called. Your ex-husband has been picking her up claiming emergency custody. Ms. Rodriguez's voice was shaking as she explained that Brian had collected 7-year-old Emma from school 3 times in the past 2 weeks, each time with official-looking custody modification papers. He said you'd been in an accident, she continued, showed us court documents granting him temporary emergency custody. Emma seemed confused but went with him. She's been returning the next day saying nothing happened, but we thought you should know. My entire body went cold because Brian had died in a boating accident 14 months ago. I'd identified his body myself, attended his funeral, watched them lower his casket into the ground. Emma had been in therapy for a year processing the loss of her father. Whoever was taking my daughter from school, it absolutely wasn't Brian. When did this start? I asked, already running to my car. And what did he look like? Ms. Rodriguez described a man matching Brian's description perfectly. 6'2", dark hair, distinctive scar above his left eyebrow from a childhood accident. He knew Emma's allergies, her nickname only Brian used, even the secret handshake they'd created. The impersonation was so perfect the school never questioned it. I raced to the school while calling the police, my mind spinning through impossibilities. The security footage Ms. Rodriguez showed me nearly stopped my heart. The man looked exactly like Brian, moved like him, even had his distinctive way of signing his name, but Brian was dead. I'd seen his destroyed body after the boat explosion, confirmed through dental records and DNA. Detective Morrison arrived within minutes, immediately recognizing the severity of a dead man collecting a child from school. She ordered an immediate lockdown, teachers checking every child was accounted for. Emma was in art class, painting happily, seemingly unaware of the danger she'd been in. When I asked Emma about the man who'd picked her up, she became confused. What man, Mommy? I go to Mrs. Patterson's office when you're late. She gives me cookies and lets me read. But Mrs. Patterson, the school counselor, insisted she hadn't seen Emma during those times. The security footage clearly showed Emma leaving with a Brian lookalike. The investigation exploded when Detective Morrison discovered the truth. The man taking Emma was Brian's identical twin brother Marcus, who I'd never known existed. Brian had hidden his twin's existence our entire marriage because Marcus was a diagnosed psychopath who'd been institutionalized since age 16 for attempting to murder Brian and take over his life. Marcus had escaped from the psychiatric facility 2 months ago. He'd been studying Brian's life through social media, death records, and public information. When he learned Brian had died, he saw an opportunity to step into his dead brother's life, starting with the thing Brian had loved most, Emma. The custody papers were forged but sophisticated, created using templates from real emergency custody orders. Marcus had learned enough about our divorce to make his story plausible, claiming I'd been hospitalized and unable to care for Emma. The school's failure to verify the documents with the court had given him access to my child. The 3 times Marcus had taken Emma, he'd brought her to a storage unit converted into a replica of Brian's old apartment, trying to convince her that her father had secretly survived. Emma's 7-year-old mind had protected itself by dissociating, creating false memories of staying at school rather than processing the trauma of a dead father seemingly returning. Child psychologists explained that Emma's grief had made her vulnerable to Marcus's manipulation. She wanted her father back so desperately that her mind accepted the imposter, even while another part of her knew it was wrong. The conflicting realities had caused her to create alternate memories to avoid confronting the impossible situation. Detective Morrison tracked Marcus to a motel using credit cards he'd stolen from Brian's elderly mother, who had dementia and didn't remember having twins. He'd been planning to take Emma permanently, having already purchased tickets to Mexico under Brian's name. The arrest happened at 3 a.m. while he slept, preventing any chance of a hostage situation. In his possession, police found detailed notes about Brian's life, photos of our family with Marcus's face photoshopped over Brian's, and disturbing journal entries about reclaiming the life that should have been mine. He'd been planning this since adolescence, believing Brian had stolen the better life while he was institutionalized. The trial was devastating. Emma had to testify via a closed-circuit video about the man who looked like Daddy but felt wrong. She described how he knew things only Daddy would know but smelled different, how his hugs were too tight, how he got angry when she called him Marcus by mistake once. That slip had saved her life. Marcus had been planning to leave with her that very day. Marcus received 25 years for kidnapping, identity theft, and child endangerment. The psychiatric evaluation revealed he'd never accepted Brian as a separate person, viewing him as an imposter who'd taken his life. Brian's death had triggered a complete psychotic break where Marcus believed he could simply step into the vacant role. The school faced massive liability for releasing Emma without verifying custody documents. We reached a settlement that funded Emma's therapy and college education, but no amount could undo the trauma. Emma still has nightmares about fake daddies, still asks me to promise the real daddy is really gone, still checks my face carefully each morning to make sure I'm the real mommy. Some violations of trust cut so deep they reshape reality itself, leaving children questioning whether anyone is who they claim to be.